everybody, we are back today, and today we're going to be talking about what you should be looking for to find the perfect agent. I am blessed by two wonderful women in real estate, Miss Tricia Como. Tricia, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm
Happy
good.
afternoon. It's beautiful out today.
It is. And then Tiffanie Bailey Romey, correct? Or is it Romeo?
Romey. Tiffanie Bailey Romey. The
Romey.
French.
And you are in the Pocono area. How are you?
So I play in the Poconos. I play in Allentown, Lehigh Valley. I play in New York. I play in Georgia. I play in the Caribbean. So I just have a good time in this industry because it's fun.
I want to hang out with Tiffanie and play in those areas.
I will introduce you at the PAR meetings.
Yes. Yeah, I love the hair, Nick. No? Blondes have more fun. I mean, I'm still
the color.
Brunette, you know, I
love the color, but I don't like that it's laying over.
Okay.
Yeah, that's got to go. So, with our fun topic today, I thought that you two lovely ladies would be an amazing representation because you both are brokers, you both are looking for agents yourself. So what are those amazing agents' traits and things like that sellers and buyers should be paying attention to?
I love drive and passion.
Ooh.
And I say that because, you know, if they're motivated to grow, their business will show up. Their enthusiasm will show up, you know. And these are the things that, you know, we're the brokers. We have this knowledge. We have this information. People are coming. They're new. Or maybe a few years into the game. I'm 2 decades in. So, and I'm at the meetings. I'm at the education. I'm getting, you know, I'm at the things. I'm at the workshop. I teach. I'm code of ethics. All these different things. So there's pieces that I'm supposed to deliver. So I give you the how. But if you don't have the why, you're not even going to seek out the how. So to me, even if you're hiring a real estate professional, look for that person that's they're happy about this idea of doing this profession. They want to be here. They're not so drained out and nasty about whatever's happening. The market's up. The interest rates are doing this. Low inventory, high inventory. I don't want to work with tenants. So all of that madness. Look for the person that really is interested in serving you. And then the broker, maybe Google the broker to see if that background, that back agent is going to be there to support in the process.
Oh, I like that. What about you, Trish?
So the question was, if you're finding a perfect agent, right? Like what traits?
As a buyer or seller?
As a buyer or seller. So I think that, and this has come from me being in the business and learning and seeing how success and unfortunately failures, oh my gosh, so cute, in the business. And I think that there's some qualities that agents actually probably need and really good. These are two skill sets and traits that are important. One is to be able to listen, and the other is to problem solve. So those are two, because I do think the success of an agent, especially when they are interviewing with their customers and clients, really need to identify while going back to that, you know, the why is important for the agent, but if they're winning business with a customer and client, you know, I really think that it's almost like a dating, really it is like that interview, because it is usually the most expensive transaction of someone's life. And, you know, you're interviewing to get someone who you know, like, and trust, right? And an agent needs to, in a very quick timeline, get somebody to know, like, and trust you. And they've got to be a really good listener to know what you're looking for, right? To be able to talk to the customer, understand what their why is. I mean, not only like that personal situation, but after that, they have to understand their finances. They have to understand their motivation. And I think that's where the problem solving then leads to, because after they kind of give you all that data, you now have to put a plan together and be able to say, yep, I got you. What you're looking for is either available or not, right? I'm hearing what you're saying. You're telling me you're looking for this here, right? We can do that, or that you can't, right? I think honesty is another big one that agents need to be able to have that transparency with their customers and clients, because if they do listen and they know how to problem solve, unfortunately, sometimes they also have to be able to have that conversation with their customers and clients and be like, hey, Nick, I know that you want this, right? I know that it's important to you, but what you're looking for is either not available or it's not available for you right now. But let me show you how I can get you there, right?
Yes.
So,
and
yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Tiffanie.
No, and sharing in that too, one of the things that I'm finding challenging, let's say that, is agents not having knowledge of the market, right? So here we have, we just talked about me poking on, I'm in Allentown. And yes, I have brokerages in other states.
Yep.
But I have knowledgeable agents in those states.
Yep.
And we're not going to show you a home that's 4 hours away from our house just because it's 1.5 million. If it's in Philadelphia, I'm going to call a Philadelphia agent, that person that knows where the good nail salon is and knows where the good restaurant is and sees the trends and sees, okay, how many people are at the bus stop versus not at the bus? Like, these are those intricate pieces where the good dry cleaners is. And don't get me wrong, at the same time, understanding values, understanding what neighborhood is having what change, what shift. Are we selling more townhomes? Are we selling more single family? Has the condo market exploded? Is the rental market exploding? What's going on with short-term rentals? What's going on with is Amazon coming to the community, job situations, the HR of the environment, the geo and the demo. And I would say to people, be careful of that agent that just says, I do the whole state.
Yeah.
I can go anywhere. Or even specialize. I know land. I am a land specialist. I understand rural land development versus whatever.
Yeah. I would agree. And I think that the brokerage role, especially with our newer agents, is to provide them with how to get that knowledge. Because unfortunately, I think, and you might experience this too, Tiffanie, we've got agents who don't have a big book of business sometimes walking in when they're new to business, right? Not everybody is walking in. I think average age of a real estate agent nationwide is 58, but there is still a healthy amount of, I was a baby realtor when I started in 2004. I was 22 years old, right? I didn't have a network. I wasn't from here. So a big thing that my broker and mentor at the time kind of put upon me was, you don't know anybody. You're not from here. No one knows you, right? So when you're getting in front of customers, you need to come across that you know what you're talking about. You need to know the paperwork. You need to know the contract. You need to study the market. You need to be able to understand, because you have so much more against you as to why you don't know anything, right? You're a baby. You don't know nothing. You didn't sell nothing, right? And you're, again, trying to convince people to work with you. So you need to be over and above understanding what the paperwork means, what your value proposition is, how you can help them. Because if you don't do that, you're never going to see that. I think that there's always going to be that person with grit that will see success no matter what, right? If you got grit, no matter if you know the contract or not, you will get business. Yeah. But there are some people with their personalities, they're very analytical and they need to know everything before they can sell it. Then they need to get in there and know everything, or you're never going to be able to get people to want to work with you because they don't trust you, right? They don't trust that you know what you're talking about.
And I love what you were sharing about. I'm sorry, Nick.
So 2 other traits that I think are super important would be confidence and knowledge, which you 2 have already bled into.
Yeah.
Because if you have somebody sitting in front of you, they're stumbling over the paperwork, They're stumbling over their words. They're fidgety. That's how they're going to act when they're negotiating for you. You need somebody who has that confidence to go, no, you can ask for that, but my seller doesn't want you to ask for that. Not the, oh, well, I mean, I guess we don't really prefer to have. And now the other agent, if they are confident, if they are aggressive, they're going to walk right over your agent.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think the confidence and the knowledge, which you guys, as I said, already started to bleed into, is huge.
And I think that across the board, and Tiffany, Nick and I were talking about a lot of conflict that I see between agents or between customers. It's miscommunication. A lot of it is like,
that's
it's
what I was gonna
not,
say. The exceptional communication
you've just got,
is so key.
Yeah. And I think that's
it's really key. Well, it's always key. But what I'll add to it, as a newer agent that may not have all of this other, knowing that page 1, page 10 on the agreement of sale is XYZ, right? But when you are highly responsive, because a lot of times the consumer has already dealt with someone that was late for the appointment or didn't return the call.
Sure.
Right? So if you become that highly responsive agent that returns the call, returns the text, emails promptly, keeps the client informed every stage.
Yeah, or at least just sets that expectation as to when it's supposed to happen, right? Like when you're talking to your sellers, we're going to have a conversation every Monday evening to go through you know what I mean? Like you're setting it up that way you're not, because I think agents struggle with that. Well, how quick do I have to respond, right? Yes, you're at the mercy of your clients, but you can still like establish yourself in your business.
The boundaries.
Yeah. Boundaries are nice. That's hard.
And I think that's a good one here for sellers. When you are sellers and buyers, when you're looking and interviewing that agent, asking, what are the hours that you work in? I don't think that gets asked ever. So, with my team, what we did was I actually given hours of operations for every single one of my agents to both buyer and seller. So, after 8:00 at night, I'm dead. You don't want to bother me, but I'm up at 4:30.
I'll give you one that I didn't do.
Go ahead.
And I will tell anyone, every agent that comes in, we start them this way because I failed at this miserably. And that is a separate phone number.
Oh, okay.
For your business.
Mm-hmm.
A separate phone. Because again, whatever's happening off hours, you're still looking at them. I mean, I got kids, I got just people, just Sure. And so if the phone rings, I have to check. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that core group that's calling me. Yeah. It's anybody. And I've had the same phone number. Do not try to do the math since 1986. I've had the same phone number since 1986. So it's 1986 until 2025 worth of people. And
so I'll just
I wish I would have to anyone new, please make sure.
Or even they could do like a Google business number that rings. That's right, business. Exactly. That could be out there. And then your personal, because I didn't do that either. My number's been the same number since the 90s. I mean.
Well, so for me, it was different. I was coming from State College down to the Harrisburg area. And my thought process was, in the Harrisburg area, who the hell's going to want to call an 814 number? I want a 717 phone number. So I went and I got a second phone. I got that second phone number. And my 717 number has always been that work line. Well, when I got robbed last year in Philly and they took my one phone and smashed it, that's when I just used that as the time to consolidate both phones into one. So I was like, screw it. I'm going to one phone now, which is that work number. But there are days I miss that. I miss having those two phones.
I think having them both, it would be hard for me personally to walk around with two. I mean, and I think the hard part, which I agree, I mean, that separation is nice. I just feel like I would be the mercy of two phones at some point. It's hard. With agents, it's so hard to teach that you're always an agent. I mean, I think that's the other hard piece is like, they're never a realtor. When you're at the grocery store, like you're still out there. I mean, I've gotten business when I was an agent at the grocery store. So like I preach on that is like, you're never not on, right? And that can be very draining. Like when I used to be an agent in Hershey, I wouldn't grocery shop. I wouldn't stop at the market there because I lived somewhere else. And I'm like, I need to shop somewhere different because I can't be rolling into this grocery store looking like a hot mess today, because I could run into a customer, a past client, and like I want to be put together when they see me, not in my sweatpants. Like I would grocery shop out of my business area because you were always on. So the separation is hard. I do like the boundary piece. I think that's important.
Stop lead providers from auctioning off the buyer leads generated from your listings. Meet InstaShow Plus, a premier showing management system built to generate, qualify, and convert buyer leads for you. Agents receive verified leads and you never meet unqualified or unidentified prospects. Take control of your leads and your safety today. Learn more by emailing us at hello@instashowplus.com. That's hello@instashowplus.com, or call us at 877-877-8030.
Transform your product with DB360 Soft Washing. Say goodbye to dirt, grime, and stains with DB360 Soft Washing, the experts in safe, effective, and exterior cleaning. We specialize in soft washing, roofing, siding, driveways, walkways, decks, fences, commercial and residential, eco-friendly solutions, and insured. Call us today at 717-691-1712 or visit us at db360wash.com. DB360 Soft Washing, clean you can trust.
Need a handyman? Call the Handyman Guy, LLC. For small fixes to major projects, call the Handyman LLC, deliver professional, reliable, affordable services. Our experiences: repairs, painting, plumbing, electrical, carpentry, furniture assembly, and much, much more. Licensed, insured, and definitely quality guaranteed. Call our number, 717-819-5453. Visit us at thathandymanguy.com. The Handyman Guy LLC, your trusted home fix expert. Thank you. Have a great day.
So, a seller's interviewing agents. What are two key things that you think would stand out if an agent did that they should pay attention to?
I loved the one thing you said, and that is setting timelines there and asking that question, what is your perfect time frame of communication?
Mm-hmm.
That's a genius approach, because everybody's saying, hey, I do professional pictures, I do virtuals, I do drones, you're going to be on the Z's, and you're going to be on the T sites, and you're going to be, on the MLS and things like that. So I actually will say I'm going to give you a feather in the cap for bringing that to this.
Even the other good one, Tiffanie, is how do you like to be communicated with? Do you text? Do you email? Right? Mm-hmm. Like what? Because some people don't email. I mean, younger buyers and sellers right now, email is not their method of communication, and they might not check it. They might not see it. They maybe are apt to text, and/or agents might not want to do business that way either. Like, you've got to understand. I mean, where people don't do e-signing at all. In Central Pennsylvania,
Correct.
We still have people who only want a wet sign, which is great. But if it's an hour drive from your office or wherever you're at to there, like, as an agent, are you willing to service that client?
And I also like what you said, Tricia, about, highlighting your problem solving skills.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because that way they're demonstrating to that potential seller, how to overcome the challenges, how they're innovative, and how they're persistent.
Mm-hmm.
Again, being that person that's available and working for you.
Yep.
Thinking things through, being proactive.
I think sellers want to hear that their agent is doing something to get the deal, right? Listing agents need to walk in on an appointment to convince a seller that, one, I'm the right person to hire, and this is also what it costs to hire me, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, you're walking in strong, already asking for money on the sale. So an agent needs to really be able to communicate what their value is and what they are going to do to sell the house, right? Mm-hmm. We cannot walk in and be like, well, put a sign in the yard, put in the MLS, buyer's agents will just do the work. Like, you deserve not to get paid in that circumstance. Like, you need to have a robust, not only information on what you do independently, what your brokerage does to support you, what you do during the deal, the connections that you have in the transaction, from your mortgage representation to your title reps, the contractors that you work for. Are you looking for a nail salon? I got you, girl. Like, all of those things. Like, do you need a mover? Like, we're always talking about how we can make it easier for them. And that's also what that piece is, like, making the transaction as easy as possible, getting them the least amount of contingencies, the most money that you can, and also just coming up really with a big value add. Like, I'm very big in what is that value proposition? What are you cannot just walk in the door and say, sign here, pay me, here are the comps, right? If you don't have a, what are you doing to sell your home answer? Like, what are you doing to sell my home? Like, get out of here. Like, that would be the first thing that I would ask if I was a seller. I know that. Nick, what are you going to do to sell my house?
Integrity.
Yeah.
And
so
integrity.
for us, I have an entire presentation.
Yeah, as you should.
It's about an hour long.
Mm-hmm.
I tell them that if they need to grab their pillows, go ahead, because we're going to be here for a while. But I also tell them when they sign the contract, I'm like, okay, we're entering into a short-term marriage. Like, communication's key. So I also bring some humor into it when I do this, which I think that helps bring some people's guards down, and they're more open to communicating and hearing from you. So, but like, my agents give me a hard time on that all the time. They're always like, you tell people we're getting married. Well, we technically are. We're in a contract.
We're in a contract.
Yeah. And that's important. I love that. I mean, we are in a contract. It can't be broken by one of us either. Like, it's a two-piece. I mean, that's the interesting thing with consumers. Sometimes it's unfortunate in our industry that they don't realize the severity of like what that contract means.
What you was sharing is, again, it's an hour, maybe 90-minute long, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here is where this is the vegetables of the meal. Like, this is the nutrients, where, the closing is the dessert.
Yeah.
And so I want to make sure you get what you need, and we get it. There's reciprocity in this conversation, because we work together. There are things in this contract that say what I'm going to do, but there's also things in this contract that says what you're going to do.
Yeah.
You're going to allow me to show it. I just spent $1,000 in photographs and Matterports and all these things. You're going to make sure that when we're showing the property, it's neat, it's clean, it's acceptable. We have this exchange.
Yep.
So all of these things, and I think that's another piece that is important at that initial meeting, is sharing with the seller that I'm interviewing you too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think agents need to be okay. And this is something that I think agents struggle with, of actually turning down business or walking away from business.
No is a sentence.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
No is a sentence.
Yeah.
Well, so
yeah.
I'll tell
and they'll just take anything. And you're like, listen, like, you already don't like them. You don't get along with them. You're conflicted in price. You're conflicted in your value proposition, but you took that business anyway, and you're surprised that there's conflict. Like, and it was conflicted before you met them.
You got it. Or you can go in. You can go in, and that's one thing that's beautiful about being in an environment as an agent where you are in communication with the other agents or the team or the family of agents, because there are times you may walk into an environment and you feel that something's off, but in the back of your mind, you might say, hey, Jude would be excellent here.
Yeah.
And say, you know what? I want to schedule another meeting. I'm going to bring one of my colleagues in, because she has a lot of interest in whatever. Or, just those pieces. Then you might be a referral agent. You may co-list depending on how your brokerage is structured or what have you. But this way, if your intention is always in service, then you make the right decisions.
Yeah.
If you're there to truly serve that person, you will make the right decisions.
Yep.
You may not be the right person to serve that person.
And that's a hard thing for people to also understand, that piece of it, that it might not be about you. Like, it's not sometimes, like, you know, as much
Correct.
as that, right? Like, as much as I think everyone would want to work with me, or they should work with me, that's okay if they don't. Like, we have to also take it on the chin that it might not be a good fit, but as a good problem solver, you're right. Listen, you know what? I'm not necessarily, you know, introduce you to my friend Tiffanie, right? Or my associate Tiffanie, who's, I like
But you
how you
know,
said that.
I love that you brought up feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
So fun, not so fun story. Very new into the industry. It was like it was my third listing, and I was sitting in this house in the middle of bumfucked Egypt, is what we'll call it, because I don't want to back the area. And I get the listing. We're sitting down. We're signing all the paperwork. And as they are literally initialing off on the listing contract, he goes, "I have a question." I said, "Okay." I was thinking it was going to be about the paperwork. He goes, "Are you gay?"
Been there.
Yeah. Follow-up question. Does anybody know where you are?
What?
Yeah. I ended the meeting immediately. I ripped up the paperwork. I said, I'm so sorry, but this isn't a listing that I'm willing to take," and I walked out. I was on creeped out.
Yeah, this line of questioning is
Inappropriate.
inappropriate.
And I just had a set of buyers come to me 2 weeks ago who came in. They're like, "We'd like to interview you. We'd like to talk to you." I'm like, "Sure." So I sit down with them. We spend about an hour and a half, because that's how long my buyer presentation typically will go if you're signing paperwork too. And they said to me, they're like, "Okay, we definitely want to work with you." And I said, "Okay." They said, "If you don't mind me asking, how many agents have you interviewed?" And they said, "Just one other," and that person made them feel extremely uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And they could not see themselves being in a long relationship with the individual. And I said, "Okay, well, again, we're entering into a contract. If I'm ever making you feel that way, you need to communicate it to me and let me know what I did and how I did it, so that, one, it can either not happen, or two, I can help you find somebody else."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I love that you brought up feeling, because I think that that's what a lot of people do forget. Like, there are just personal feelings that sometimes are involved, and it has nothing to do with maybe you. It was just they weren't feeling you, or something was inappropriate and shouldn't have been. And that's another thing to be paying attention to when you're interviewing agents.
That's
For
right.
sure.
I think agents also tap really heavily on their SOI, and sometimes your SOI might backfire. That sometimes people who have personal connections don't want you in their financial business, right?
Mhm.
And agents, I've seen lose relationships that way, because they get really offended.
For the
By
podcast world, that means sphere of influence. Just so you know.
I'm sorry, what? Oh, SOS.
No, so crazy story, and I am definitely digressing. I get my real estate license. I'm working. I'm going to the meetings and the workshops and the learnings and all that. And they're constantly saying this word.
SOI. Yeah.
No, another word.
Oh.
So I'm like, 2 months in, 3 months in, I keep hearing this word. My fourth month, I was like, "So what's a FSBO?" Because I had no idea what a FSBO was.
Fair.
All right. So I was right there with you. My very first meeting, I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And I Googled it quick, because I'm like, I've never heard this in my life.
There was no Googler.
Fair. No, you're right.
There was no. They made the GPS just for me.
If they would have said for sale by owner, I would have gotten it. But you're right, FSBO, SOI. I feel like there's others, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of acronyms so that's another thing I give to all of my clients, is a list of the acronyms that they're most likely going to hear come out of my mouth, and the definition and what it actually means. So, like, if I'm like, "Hey, did you get the SPD?" They can be like, "Oh, you mean the seller property disclosure."
Oh, you're right.
Sometimes I don't think about it. It just comes out. Yeah. So what would you guys say is one thing a buyer should ask an agent when they're looking to hire them?
In the past 6 months, how many competing offer situations have you won?
Ooh.
I don't know if it's I'm going to kind of flip it. I definitely feel with the nature of our business, and we all have been doing this for years. So, however, with the NAR settlements, the very understanding of clear cooperation and understand that I work for you, just like you work for whomever you work for. And at the end of the week, bi-weekly, whatever your circumstances, they're the ones that cut you your check. At the end of this transaction, you're the one that cuts the check. And I think the real clarity and transparency of that needs to be loud and proud. And going back to what Tricia said a few times is the value proposition. And those, when you bring all that together, they already know that you are knowledgeable in your market. They already know that you have a strategic plan. They already know you focus on value. And you listening with your two ears and speaking with your one mouth and going through the buyer's consultation and getting that information. So that when that clear cooperation becomes the conversation, they're not second guessing the why. They're like, hey, I'm with it.
Sure.
You're hired.
And it's interesting. What we've also learned is that most buyers in a buyer consultation, I mean, buyer agency is not a new thing in the state of Pennsylvania, right? We've always had it, right? So I think, we're definitely more comfortable with the changes, I guess, that have been happening versus other states who've been completely like taken aback on their back foot on what buyer agency means, right? If you were trained or you learned how to present a buyer agency even pre-August, it always should have been a conversation about what the buyer contract meant and what the expectations were, right? We're working together. This is a business relationship, outlining how the two of us work together. My fee for my services, these are my services, is X, right? And then going into how that can be structured, because that's the problem solving piece of it, like what that looks like, best case, worst case scenario. I think agents, as long as they're able to have those conversations and explain that, like they're not going to see trouble. It's the ones that brushed it under the rug, the ones that were like, oh, I just get paid by the seller. You don't have to worry about it.
I work for free.
I mean, that definitely, I've seen agents even advertise that.
Conversation. I'm so stuck on when I heard that being one of the conversations. Let's just say it. I'll stay.
Oh yeah, it's like a whole thing. Like I work for free and you don't pay me. Like, wait, what?
Yeah, the other person pays me. You don't pay me. And I'm like, who brings the bag of money?
Yeah.
Yep.
You pay everybody.
The lender.
Well, it don't matter. You got the lender to bring you the bag of money. You're still bringing the bag of money. Yeah. But I like what Tricia had shared about, how many have you won, let's say, because in a competitive market, you want to know, hey, agent, how are you navigating to secure the best deal for me without me overpaying?
Fair. And that's a good question.
So one thing, and I think you two hit really good points, so I'll just give a tidbit. One thing that we do is when we're having that commission conversation, I actually have a sheet that breaks it down that says the broker gets a cut, the team gets a cut, the agent gets a cut, Uncle Sam gets a cut. And I literally break it down to show them it's not just the agent that's representing you making all of this money. There's other individuals that are pulling money out of this so that they fully know what's happening with what they're paying.
And also, this is the piece too that I think with buyers, and it's a beautiful thing that we are in a world where there is, I grew up, again, don't do the math, people in TV land, but I grew up with channel 2, 5, 4, 7, 11 and 13, right? And now there's like there's more channels than there are people in the world, right? So you get to see these shows that demonstrate, $250,000 commissions, and everyone has, red bottoms. And yeah, I got some, don't get me wrong. But at the same time of all of that taking place, this is a business. I know I can say for just no ifs, ands, buts about it, Nick is at the PAR business meetings. He is furthering his knowledge, his wisdom, his information so that he can better serve those who he serves. Mm-hmm. He serves his community. He serves committees. He is very, very knowledgeable. He understands title. He understands what's happening with your mortgage. He understands his place as a real estate professional, a realtor. And so you are being supported by people that are spending a lot of time and a lot of money to be the best version of themselves to support you in the biggest purchase or sale of your life. Yeah. So it's not just whoopee, we're making this, that, or what have you. We are the CEO of this circumstance happening in your world right now. And don't get me wrong, not all realtors or real estate professionals are the same. So that's where you, as that customer going into client relationship, need to ask those questions. And we need to come in and bring the information so that hey, yes, I was my local board president, and I'm also chaired here, and I also have this certification or this designation, and these are the times I may be out of town because I'm there supporting real estate. I'm supporting getting the 1031 exchange in Pennsylvania. I'm there making sure that wholesaling is done legitimately so that you're not being robbed, i.e. Joe buyer, Joe seller. Okay. So we're doing this work above and beyond this conversation right here, which again takes me to I'm in these different networking. So I'm already having conversations in the back of my mind. If I'm at a listing presentation and I'm local and I'm doing all the work that I'm saying, I already might have a buyer in my mind because I was just at the Chamber of Commerce and this conversation was taking place. I was just at this other charitable event. I just left the Boys and Girls Club today cleaning out their gardens and raising money so that the community has this. And what happens when I do that? It allows your child buyer, when you move here, to have free camp or $50 a week camp. Mm-hmm. So it's all these different pieces that brings together who you should choose and why. Yep. And once we close, the relationship doesn't end. A good real estate professional.
Agreed. Well, ladies, I think this was such a great informational session for buyers, sellers, and even some agents that are on the hook right now, not knowing what to do or how to do it. I think this will be good for them to listen to. So thank you so much for spending this time with me. I greatly appreciate you both, and I will see you both in May.
I'll see you in May.
See you at the business meeting.
Thanks, guys.
Nice to meet you, Tiffanie.
Same here.